Hey guys, it's your girl Cierra. Welcome back to my channel. I know y'all saw this shirt several times, okay? Batching some content, all right? And yes, this is definitely one of those cringy ass shirts that you've seen on Facebook and on Amazon where it's like amazing people are born in 1995. See, look, my boyfriend got this gift from his mom for his birthday. He's like, I'm not wearing that. And I said, this shirt is comfortable. I can sleep in this shirt. So I took it. That's the only reason why I got it. Otherwise, I would never purchase this kind of shirt on my own. But this video is going to be about creating your own empowered Black female characters. So let's go ahead and jump right into the steps, and then I'll give some information on my characters with each point. All right. So the first one is give your characters wants and needs. So what do they want? What do they need? Like, what are they craving? What are their expectations? So for me, I'm just gonna use examples from all the Black female characters that I've created. But for this one, I'm gonna use Dahlia from Ghost of You that I'm currently writing. I absolutely love it. And Dahlia's wants are very, I can't say controversial, but I would say very complex, and you would side eye her in a minute. She wants to be in a committed relationship with her ex-boyfriend again. Yeah, I know, huge side eye. She has this need to be in control because of things that happened in her past. Y'all gonna read it one day, okay? Once I finish it and I get all my ish together, y'all gonna figure it out. But she just really wants to be with him. She wants to have this specific life, and obviously it's not gonna go how she wants it to, but that's Dahlia. Next point is identify strengths and flaws of your character. Obviously, pretty simple, very straightforward. What are they good at? What are they bad at? It could be as vague, not as vague, but it could be as simple as, oh, they're really good at basketball. And it could be as broad as them struggling with communication or something like that. You know, different sides of the spectrum. It could be more psychological versus like hobbies and stuff that they're interested in. What I use sometimes, and just also because of my background, I got my bachelor's in psychology. I don't know if you could see it, but that gray book down there, right here, is the DSM-5. I use that, okay? When it comes to building my strengths and weaknesses for my characters, because a lot of my books have a lot of psychological issues going on, like a lot of depression, mental health, complex characters. That's what I write. So I kind of use a little bit of that, especially for my story, my series that I'm working on. A lot of the characters in the series for each story, they all tie to one major event that has happened that all of them are tied to. And it's with like grief, loss. So it's like a major component of these characters' lives and how they move forward. And yeah. So with one of my characters for my second book in my series, which is Kiss Me at Midnight, Zofria, who is Dahlia's best friend, her strengths are fashion. She is someone who's very much into fashion designing, illustration. That's one of her strengths, is that she knows how to sew her own clothes. She's a very eccentric character. But one of her flaws is she's not the best when it comes to handling tough situations. She can be a little assertive, not rude, but she has a very particular way of how she handles situations, and they're not always the best. But she's a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart with I can't say like a complete complicated past, but she did lose her mother. That is a part of her journey, her story. So there is that element of grief and loss. She has several siblings, but she's not as close to them. So she has been battling and dealing with her life on her own without any assistance. So she's very hard-headed. She's hyper independent. So that really is like a flaw of hers, where it's like how she reacts to certain situations because no one's really there to tell her to calm down. Like, she is best friends with Dahlia, and Dahlia helps as much as possible, but Zofria is a person who is like, I am who I am, and if people don't like it, then y'all can shove it up your butts. Like, she's that type of person. So that's a flaw of hers, is just how very reactive, that she can very reactive, that she comes across as. Moving on to the third point, sketch your antagonist. So literally take everything about your main character, flip it. That's your antagonist. And it could be literally a person. It could be maybe there's something that they're struggling with, especially if you write stories with a lot of like psychological elements. It could be something that they're really struggling with, that they don't want to come to terms with, you know, something like that. It could be anything like that. It could be a person. It could actually be a situation. It could be their own self. They could literally be the protagonist and antagonist for themselves. Like, it could be however you want to address the story, however it is that you're writing it. So for my antagonist for another story that I am working on, and it's Project Fury. The antagonist, or antagonists, plural, it's plural. These people in this story, they are very elite, quote unquote, because the book that I'm writing for Project Fury is very much kind of similar to like dystopian books, but not really exactly. But there are people who are labeled and unlabeled. Labeled people go through different career fields, so they actually have like a career written job, so they have like a lot of emphasis on that, kind of like a commentary on how the real world is, and how, well, not now because things have completely shifted, but like how we had put so much emphasis on people being like doctors, lawyers, teachers, and people who wanted to be like entertainers, schmex workers, working in retail or the food industry, like that we used to look down on them type of thing. And those are unlabeled, are people who work in that area. So if you're unlabeled, you're seen as like unworthy. So these other characters who are labeled, who are the labeled people, they feel a certain way towards my main character. And the thing is, actually, you know, it's not a complete surprise. I'm just gonna say it, it's a family. Because there's some other twists within it, in that story, but her family is her biggest ops, okay? There's gonna be some twists, there's gonna be some chaos with that, and some discoveries and some secrets and stuff like that. But her family is her biggest ops. Those are her antagonists. Like, they're very elite. They look down on her, they treat her differently. Yeah, all that type of stuff. So when writing your antagonist or antagonists, if you're just going to be plural like my story, whatever your main character is, do the exact opposite. Maybe switch things up a little bit. What also helps with writing an antagonist is, like, I like to listen to music. So, you know, like those POVs, like, oh, I'm a villain type of thing, you know, music playlists on YouTube. I'll listen to that when it comes to cultivating a villain. And also when it comes to like the wants and needs, you take the main character's wants and needs, and maybe the villain, the antagonist, has the same wants and needs, but they go about it in a different way. So they have a different approach to it. Like, just trying to figure that out too. It's really just trying to sketch all of the little pieces like that when it comes to writing your antagonist. Next point is develop their look and behavior. So when writing your Black female characters, what do you want them to look like? What is their behavior? What is things that they're interested in? And you could just jot this down. I love listening to music. Music is what really helps me just come up with the plot, but also the character's mindset, especially when I'm listening to a song and I get like, oh, this is this specific character's perspective of a situation. So, for example, in a separate book, well, it's a novella. In the separate novella that I am writing, I didn't listen to any music, but the main character there, it's actually something from, it's actually inspiration from a Instagram reel where my main character is a Black girl. She and her ex-boyfriend were on and off for a while. And she was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a hot girl summer. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. But the thing is, she gets pregnant. And so she's literally she's like standing over a piece of paper. It has a circle on it, and around the circle are the different people that she slept with. And so she uses a pendulum to try to figure out who her baby daddy is, because obviously she already pregnant and she don't know when it all happened, because it's so muddled. So she's like, oh god damn, I can't wait till the baby comes out, and then try to do a paternity test like that. She's like, I'm gonna just figure this out the good old spiritual way, because her whole family is very spiritual. So this is how they all like do their thing. This is all like things that they believe in. And so literally her behavior of not wanting to address the person who is the father of the baby, and how she goes about it, it's like, yeah, that's very much my character's behavior of just being like a little bit like, no, like slightly anxious, very closed off to other people. And at the same time, because it's the hormones, so she's very reactive towards other people. And then she has a very interesting situation with her mom. Her mom is a little bit more of a spitfire, so she kind of like retreats into herself when it comes to dealing with her mother. So she's struggling with telling her mother about the pregnancy and everything like that, and how she looks, dark-skinned. I picture her with braids. I picture a lot of my Black female characters with just like different hairstyles, and I just feel like she would have braids a lot of the time. Braids, she'll switch it up. And she'll be about like my size, like mid-size. So that's the type of girl that I envision for that character. For a lot of my Black female main characters, it's just the range. Like, I just love creating Black female main characters, because there's so many attributes that you can make into a character. You can mold them into however you want them to be. For Project Ghost of You, I actually made my characters into Sims. So I actually like formed them how I thought they looked, using clothes, body shape, all that kind of stuff in Sims. Since then, I don't know if I kept the pictures, I don't know if I deleted them, I don't remember what I did with them. And after the situation with Sims and everything like that, I will not be going back to Sims anyway. So I'll have to find another way to like get the image of my characters out of my head and into like fan art. When I'm rich enough, I'll have to commission somebody to do some artwork for my books. But until then, they're just gonna stay in my head because I can't draw to save my life. And me and Sims broke up. Me and EA are no longer together, so I can't do it that way either. Last point is research their trade/culture. So really, whoever you're writing, if you're writing from a culture that you don't know, you're not familiar with, do your research. Do as much research as possible, please. Also get sensitivity readers when it comes to writing your book. So please be aware of that. So like I'm gonna go back to Project Ghost of You, because that's literally what I'm working on, is that whole series. The other stories where I gave you examples on my other characters, they're gonna wait until I get this series done, because I want to get this series done so bad. For Project Fury, I actually wrote 100 pages, but that's gonna get scrapped and start from the beginning, because I don't know what the hell I wrote. I don't remember. I wrote that like 2 years ago. Yeah, we're gonna start all over again with that one, but I will say it's gonna be a journey. But for Project Ghost of You, but also I would say Project Fury, so kind of combining it. Obviously, being a Black girl, being a Black woman, it's not a monolith. We all have different experiences, so I feel like I didn't have to do much research when it comes to our culture, because everyone has different experiences. And so it's really just taking into account what I want for my character to experience, what I envision that they'll be going through and their journeys. But here's the thing, for both stories, for Ghost of You and for Project Fury, the love interest is an Asian guy. So as someone who has consumed a lot of K-pop, which is not the entire culture, I love just learning about the Korean culture, So even with watching K-dramas, I love watching K-dramas because it was always a mess, always some chaos. But I also loved seeing some of the culture and seeing the culture in the show, because obviously it is a drama. It's not going to be completely accurate. It's going to be some things that are a little bit adjusted for consumers, especially since, you know, it's more, it has become more popular internationally, especially in Western culture. So there is probably some things that they have altered for us to consume, like with XOXO Kitty, or is it just XO Kitty? XO Kitty, how it's weirdly geared toward Western culture, in the way they wrote it. The second season was a little bit better with the writing. So I just like learning about Korean culture through the shows. So like learning how they bow to each other, how they pay at the restaurant. Like you don't get a bill, you go to the front kiosk, like you go to the front and then you pay that way. So different things like that, just little like parts of a day of their lives type of thing. But also just doing my own research as well, of looking up what do they normally eat, what's the household like, different aspects of that when it comes to Korean culture that I feel, obviously I've always been curious about anyway. I'm always curious about other cultures. I'm just nosy, okay? I just want to know. So when it comes to writing those love interests, I'm very much like doing my research. I'm still gonna have sensitivity readers. But I also want to showcase that, obviously, because not everyone's experience in the world is the same. So even with my Asian love interests, my Korean love interests, their experiences are going to be different from the typical Korean family, but making sure that I'm still, you know, still learning about the culture and knowing what is acceptable, what's not acceptable, what needs to be tweaked or whatever. Just making sure that I'm being not sensitive, but just being aware of what I'm writing and how I'm writing it and what certain things I need to adjust along the way. So when it comes to just like really researching the culture of your characters, just take the time to do it. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to write perfect characters. You're not going to write perfect female characters all the time, because who's perfect in the first place anyway? All of my female main characters are messy as hell, okay? I love a complex character who you're just like, girl, what? What is happening? Like, what's going on? So really, yeah, just do your research as best as you can, get sensitivity readers, and just be open to adjustments and everything like that. Don't become close enough and be like, well, this is what I found or in my research. It's like it's gonna shift and change, because you could have been looking up something that happened like that's like a different culture 25 years ago versus now. But yeah, that's really all I have for this video. If you like this video, be sure to like it. If any of these tips help, please let me know down in the comments below. And until next time, stay magical. Love you guys. Keep writing. Bye.